Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to Cosmic Culture, the channel where we talk about all major movie and television news. And today we have some news of the highest importance, craziness, and spectacularity, and that is MCU news following the Episode 5 release of WandaVision, the first project to come to us in Phase 4 of the MCU following the Infinity Saga. If you've been following up to this point with the MCU, with WandaVision specifically, you know it's been a very crazy ride, with all sorts of questions being brought to the surface, and we got a even bigger one after the conclusion of this episode. Before I move on, guys, huge spoiler warning: if you haven't seen any WandaVision, or if you haven't seen episode 5, which premiered last night, click away now, as I will be revealing a huge surprise ending, and it might not be something you want to see. But come back later after you've seen the episode and let me know what you think. So, let's talk about WandaVision episode 5 real quick for the rest of you. For the first 3 episodes of WandaVision, we discovered that there was something odd going on. We didn't have a lot of answers. We knew Wanda and Vision were living in some type of crazy reality, and Wanda had some control over it, but not total control over everything that happens and goes on inside of Westview, which is a town that she took over and put this hexagonal force field around, and anything going on inside, she kind of was aware of and knew something was going on. We knew Vision was there, but we weren't quite sure how. Then episode 4 rolls around and we get a lot of answers as we see what's going on the outside of this hexagon force field. SWORD, the FBI, and many other governmental officials are now involved, and they're talking about what is happening inside with no real understanding. Eventually, Monica Rambeau, who was previously blipped or snapped away because of Thanos and had just returned, is now on the case, standing outside of this hexagonal force field, and eventually gets sucked in. We saw her throughout the first 3 episodes, and at last, in the 3rd episode, we saw her helping Wanda give birth to the twins, who are named Billy and Tommy. At the end of episode 3, she was thrown out of the force field by Wanda for remembering, recalling, and mentioning Pietro, who is Wanda's brother, who we know is dead from earlier MCU installments. So she was upset by the recollection of this and threw out Monica's character, noticing that something wasn't quite right. Now, all of this is brought to light for us in episode 4, and during this episode we get a lot of different answers, but only to bring us to more and more questions. Monica, getting kicked out of the realm, wakes up and says it's all Wanda, and the MCU and Marvel are trying to make us think up to this point that Wanda truly is controlling everything going on, and that might be the case, but knowing the MCU and being skeptic Marvel fans, we know that it could be going in a different direction. But up to this point, that's the information that we have. Moving into episode 5, which was today, we are inside and outside of what the sitcom that Wanda is showing us, both on her side of this hexagonal force field and on the outside with SWORD. As we flip back and forth, we are still kind of wondering what exactly is going on, but it becomes more and more clear and evident based off of what we've seen that Wanda is actually in charge, as SWORD tries to make connections with Wanda on the inside by sending an 80s style drone in that isn't going to be configured by the force field because they're in an 80s time frame at the moment. Wanda gets extremely angry and leaves the force field, confronting the head of SWORD and everybody else out there. She tells them that if they do not leave her alone, this is their only warning. After doing some crazy magic stuff and having all of the guns pointed at the director of SWORD, she returns to the hexagon, which, after having a shade of blue this entire time, changes its shade to a very dark red and is extremely ominous, and it's a cool, scary scene that shows you Wanda does have an understanding of exactly what is going on inside this force field. It is her home, it is where she wants to be, and it is a reality that is not to be disturbed by anybody else, especially not SWORD. While this is all going on, meanwhile, in Vision's side of the episode, he's starting to figure out something really odd is going on. It starts off when he sees that Wanda is a little bit more lackadaisical about using her powers, which he says, quote unquote, "We agreed to not use these abilities in front of other people. We don't want to get caught." And that's the whole ideology that he's been following. But now he sees that Wanda's kind of changed a little bit. He's also noticed something odd about Agnes, the nosy neighbor, who we assume is Agatha Harkness, and how she just kind of pops along with everything they need at any given moment. It is at this point that Wanda manipulates the timeline a little bit more and sends Vision to work because he says they are on a different page than each other. So she sends him off to work, and that's kind of how it plays out. She tells the kids it's Monday even though they know it's Saturday, and things get a little confusing. We're starting to see that Wanda is losing control over her reality as different people like her kids and Wanda are starting to notice some odd things are going on. While Vision is at work on this Saturday/Monday, he touches Norm, who he then knocks out of this trance that he is in, and Norm immediately falls into this frenzy. Norm is somebody who Vision has been working with, and we have seen different types of slights of this throughout the episodes up to this point. But this specifically was extremely intense. He comes out of the trance that he's in, begging for help, saying that Wanda's trance is hurting him, and that he has a family he needs to get back to. He looks for his phone, and eventually, as he is startled, Vision puts him back in the trance to calm him down. Vision then goes home and confronts Wanda about this, and they get heated and get into a huge argument. During this argument, they both eventually calm down. Wanda drops down and says that this is why he is here. He is her husband, he loves her, and he is a father. Vision exclaims, "I do not remember anything outside of Westview." This is the part where the crazy ending comes in. After they sit down, Wanda and Vision are calm and settled. Something knocks at the door, or rather somebody, and Wanda looks at Vision and says, "I didn't do that." She's explaining to Vision that she isn't controlling everything going on in Westview. So she gets up and answers the door, and we probably assume it's going to be Agnes with something for the couple again, and it turns out it is nobody else other than Wanda's brother. But wait, there's more of a kicker. It isn't Wanda's brother like we know him. It is in fact Evan Peters, Quicksilver from the Fox X-Men universe, standing there saying, "How long does it take for you to give your brother a hug?" Wanda, with no clue what is going on, eventually gives him a hug, and we see that Evan Peters' X-Men character Quicksilver from the Fox universe is officially in the MCU. That is a crazy, mind-blowing change of pace for the MCU, which opens up thousands and thousands and thousands of doors, multiverse loads worth of doors, and it is the first real hint at the multiverse that we are seeing in the MCU. Now, of course, I'm sure you were wondering what exactly this means moving forward for the MCU. What does this mean for WandaVision? What does this mean for the X-Men? Are we getting all of them? Is Hugh Jackman coming? What else is going on? Obviously, we do not have answers for all of this right now, but it does show the possibility for literally anything that Marvel wants to do moving forward. Now, we do require a huge explanation because this character, without a doubt and undoubtedly, does come from a different multiverse. It makes a lot of sense to have Evan Peters come, reprise his role, and look exactly like Quicksilver from the Fox universe for no other reason than to open that multiverse door. As WandaVision has been confirmed to connect to Spider-Man, unnamed third movie, we'll call it the Spider-Man multiverse movie because we all know it's going to have a lot of different multiverse characters included in it just from leaks and rumors that we've heard so far. So we're starting to see how the domino effect from WandaVision is going to start rolling over. One other extremely important detail that was mentioned in this episode was the powers that Wanda possessed. There's a little bit of an argument about what it is Wanda is actually capable of doing. And during this argument, they talk about how Thanos was actually in a lot of trouble when he was fighting Wanda, which demonstrates the power that she had. There's a little bit of disagreement about what she's capable of doing, but ultimately it's obvious that she is starting to realize powers about herself that she didn't know about earlier. Now, whether this came from her deep desire to bring back Vision or anything else, we don't really know that just yet. However, it was also revealed that she did in fact go to a Secret Swords facility, steal Vision's body, which we see dismembered on tables in labs through security footage, and she brought it to Westview where she brought it back to life. Now the question remaining is, when Vision leaves the force field, which we've seen in different trailers, does he remain alive? And I'm going to say probably. I think Vision leaving this force field will stay alive, but it's possible that he will opt to not remain alive, that he will either turn off his body, turn off his computer, or have something come upon him to stop him from being alive because it isn't natural. And they even mentioned that Vision did not want to be resurrected. He didn't want to be controlled or used for as a weapon, which it's possible Wanda is kind of doing to him right now. So a lot of big reveals that lead to even bigger questions. Number one, Wanda seems to actually be in charge of everything going on. There have been a lot of talks about Mephisto or the Grim Reaper or other characters who might actually be the puppet master in everything going on in Wandavision. But the more I see, and this could just be the MCU's fantastic misdirection, it does actually appear that Wanda is behind everything going on. And of course, there are going to be catastrophic repercussions for whatever is going on in Westview and wherever it ends up. And that brings us back again to the incredible ending of this episode, the multiverse being opened, the X-Men from the Fox universe now being introduced to the MCU through Evan Peters' Quicksilver, playing who he is, Wanda's brother. So it will be interesting to see what moves forward, how this is going to have an effect, what we're going to learn in the next episode from the mouth of Pietro, if he actually has anything to say about where he came from, what he's doing there, and if he mentions any of the other X-Men. I know there's a long list of names that we're waiting to hear from or about so that we can get some idea of what's going on. Now that the multiverse has been opened and we're about to head into the multiverse of madness, there are a lot of crazy things that are going to need explanation. And I'm 100% convinced after WandaVision is over, we are not going to have even close to all of the answers. A lot of things have to be answered through what's going to happen in Spider-Man, WandaVision, and of course Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, which follows those two events. So let me know what you guys think about this crazy reveal that Evan Peters' Quicksilver from the Fox universe has made its way into the MCU. What do you think this means, and what further are you hoping to see as we continue through WandaVision? Thank you guys so much for watching till the very end of the video. I love having these conversations, these chats, and these cool theory ideas with all of you. Your comments down below are always fun to interact with, so make sure to let me know what you think. Join the Discord to become a even more contributing member of the community, and as always, see you guys next time right here on Cosmic Culture.